Well, you are absolutely looking at the face of dejection. I thought I lost my phone while we were at this Ranger gas station in some little town that was a crossroads where we had to turn the corner and go on a different highway. I looked everywhere for that phone and could not find it. And while I was looking, some guy pulled in head to head with me, and there was about 4 feet between us. And then there was somebody parked behind me, so I couldn't back up. I had to wait on the guy to come and move his vehicle so that I could get out. So we started on the road, and I was just hoping that I had my iPhone with me. It wasn't looking good because I didn't find it anywhere. However, I do have a device for Apple CarPlay because it's not built into my vehicle, and my Apple CarPlay was working, so there was hope. Well, according to the thing now, it will be 10:53 before we get there, so like a little over 2 hours. And I don't know, we'll just get as close as we can and then stop and sleep for the night because we can't check in early. So anyway, we're just going to go a little bit farther. We were looking for something to eat, didn't find anything, or at least I didn't. So we'll check the next town, see if I can find something to eat there, and then see if we can find a truck stop. This is kind of a cool effect. My taillights are reflecting on the white Asdel of my camper, and it looks like I'm being followed by some red lights. I'm telling you, a week at Phenomicon is enough. Because when I first saw that the camera, it's like, what's following me? And then I figured out it was my taillights that are following me. So, pretty interesting. This is where I figured out that most of my family aren't as familiar with the Eagles as I thought they would be, because I actually sent them a text starting a song exchange like you see sometimes on Facebook or whatever, wherever you are on social media. And so I started it off on a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, and they all wanted to know if there was a flatbed Ford kind of thing or if I was in Winslow. And it's like, come on, you guys, this is Hotel California. I left this little slip of video in there because I think it's pretty cool. It looks like I'm ghost hunting. Yes, I watch a lot of those shows, but it looks like I'm ghost hunting. I've never really seen myself in night vision before. This is pretty cool. Well, we slept at the Navigate on Road Kerrville Safety rest area. We were going to try to sleep in Junction at one of the truck stops, but that wasn't happening. There were just too many trucks with their engines running, and the bathroom closed at midnight. So, and there was no grass to walk Winky. So we came down here, and Winky spent the night awake on guard while I slept in the back seat. Because we don't have any air circulation in the trailer, and after all of the bumps and dips and everything that we were on, because some of this road was really rugged that we drove, I would have spent the whole time we were here trying to clean the trailer up enough that we could actually get into it. So it has been a good trip, other than the boring landscape up north that we spent 9 hours driving through. But anyway, we're headed out now, This is going to take us down to Bourne, and then from Bourne we'll take the road in to Lake Medina. Because we are on the eastbound side and there's no way to get back to the westbound side to get back up to Kerrville and go that way. So we'll go on down to Bourne and go in from there. So anyway, I will check in with y'all later. We're driving along Interstate 10 eastbound down towards Bourne and Bandera. And I just thought this was like really pretty sunrise. And I remember thinking to myself while I was driving this, it's like, God, I hope that sun doesn't come up and blind me right straight in the eye. That would not be a good thing. And by the way, I found coming into Medina, so I'm just going to let the camera run because from what I've read on the reviews of this place, that it's beautiful and the panorama begins before you even get there. Well, we are driving farther and farther and farther into the hills here. I didn't realize how far into the hills this campground was. We're headed to Thousand Trails Campground at Lake Medina. However, it's not actually on the lake, but it was a very, very pretty campground. And the drive was very scenic, lots of wildlife, and this road is actually pretty heavily commuted in the mornings. I just happened to be right here in an area where there wasn't a lot of traffic, but when you get back to where Highway 16 and Park Road 37 come together, a lot more traffic showing up there because they're heading into work from the Lakehills area where Thousand Trails Campground is. Here's some of that commuting traffic that I was talking about. There were a lot of cars going the other way. There were no cars behind me, which was a good thing because I was driving in at about 30 miles an hour because this is a pretty twisty, windy road. Here we're coming into a little intersection place where I think it is County Road 1228 or something like that, and Park Road 37 conjunct or junction. And there's a gas station here, and if you turn right, there's a Dollar Tree and a grocery store on up that way, and if you turn left, there's a gas station and a couple restaurants down that way. So it was a little area that made it convenient to get groceries and gas, and made it easier rather than having to drive all the way into Bandera, back to Bourne, or into San Antonio to get groceries and gas. Made it real convenient. Now we're heading into the Lakehills area. We were coming into Lakehills here. There were like 6 or 7 churches in this area, which is really interesting because the population's only like 300. Also a volunteer fire department where they were trying to get everybody to become a volunteer fire person. So Lakehills is a sweet little community. Lots of people living in RVs and double wides and single wides and that kind of stuff. There are a few houses here, and the one on the corner where we have to turn is all decorated. Their fence had a bunch of decorations on it, and some Halloween decorations starting out early. It was kind of interesting. We're turning here on West 8th Street, and you can see the house on the left that I was talking about that had all the decoration on the fence. And when we left, the decoration had changed to Halloween when we pulled out to come to our next campsite. So that was an interesting landmark that we had to make sure that we always turned on the right street, plus a sign that pointed us towards the dump. That's always an interesting way to find your way into a campground. Here we've made the turn into the parking lot in front of the ranger station, as they call their main office at Thousand Trails. This was a very, very bumpy parking lot area. And with the trouble that I'd been having with the hitch and dragging the sway bar holders on the tongue of the trailer, I scraped just about every little tiny bump that I hit in this parking lot. It was teeth gritting, to say the least. And here we're pulling up in front of the ranger station. And you can tell by the look on my face that I'm busy dragging everything as I'm going through this parking lot. I'm not sure how the look on my face or gritting my teeth or anything like that is helping, but it sure gave me a way of just wishing that I wasn't dragging. So we arrived a couple of hours early, and we were there before the office even opened. So I sent a text to the person who had been texting me, welcoming me, telling me that they were looking forward to my arrival. They were happy that I was going to stay at Thousand Trails. So I sent her a text and asked if there was any way I could check in early, because their check-in time is 2 o'clock, and we were there around 10 a.m. So she came out to the vehicle and said, sure, no problem, when she got there at 9. And so this is the drive down the road at 5 miles an hour to our campground. And it was a very, very nice campground, very well located. And we got really good walks every morning, taking everything to the trash. We are looking for our campground. The one we had just recently was converted to a drive-through, so most of the sites over by us were all back in. But we were able to get a pull-through in that area, so it was very convenient. We are sharing the campground with deer, right there on the right and on the left. We're going slow enough that we shouldn't have a problem. We're going slow enough that we shouldn't have a problem. There were a lot of deer in this park. The ratio of deer to humans was probably 20 to 1. And the deer did not seem afraid of people at all. There were many times when we went for our walks that the deer would just be standing there and watch us walk by. They weren't alarmed, they weren't frightened. The little ones sometimes would run away when Miss Winky would come along with her and that would scare them. But for the most part, they just kind of stood and watched us. We're coming into the area where our campground is supposed to be. This on the right is a listing of all the activities that are up there or that are in this section of the park. The snack bar, activity center were there, and they were open every day. And I think up here on the right, you'll see a guy with his dog, because the campground turned out to be like the third spot on the left up here after we passed this last driveway. However, it wasn't very clearly labeled on this side of it. Because like I said before, it was a back end spot, it wasn't a pull through, so it was hard to see the labeling, and this guy with his dog helped me to find where I was supposed to be. Before I found the guy, or spotted the guy with his dog, we did a couple of loops around the drive so that we could try to find the spot. It just was not labeled from this side of the road. So luckily, we were able to find it, and we pulled in, and then we had a really great time in this campground. We were in spot F18.